What's up, everybody? Welcome to this very, I don't know, special, but I'll call it reflective edition of Talk Wrestling here on NoDQ.com and, of course, the NoDQ YouTube channel at NoDQCAW on Twitter. I mentioned this on social media earlier this morning before Aaron went to go film, but this round of tapings is dedicated to my buddy Rob Van Dam, who I'm going to hopefully see on Saturday, and he's going through a rough time right now, and I wanted to let him know that the Meacham family is thinking of him, and we at NoDQ.com are thinking of him, of course. So, but watching him and his promo from One Night Stand 2005 has really inspired me, and I had a conversation with a dear friend of mine, her name is Bailey, and just talking about how the wrestling business is and how long I've been watching and what the ups and downs that the business has gone through, and just I decided that rather than take your questions into my personal space today on this episode anyway, we'll get to your questions in the future episodes. Don't worry about that. I promise you I'm not going to leave you guys hanging. But for today, I want to talk about, give my state of the business address, if you will. And I'm going to talk about a lot of wrestling shows. I'm going to talk about the indie shows I go to. I'm going to talk about the indie shows I watch on TV. I'm going to talk about the other shows I watch on TV when it comes to wrestling. And just talk about how I feel and maybe what can be done to make things better. And I'm not trying to piss off anybody that works for these companies. I'm not trying to, get under the skin of anybody and get myself blocked on Twitter like I've done so many times over the years on this show and other shows I've done with various channels. But I just need to get all this off my chest. And if this is going to be one of those shows where you guys have to tune out and not watch, then so be it. But I just feel I have to get all this out. And this is completely from the hip. I have no idea what I'm going to say right now. I just kind of know a general idea, bullet points in my head. I don't have anything written down. You can see there's no phone, there's no paper. It's just me and the RVD picture. That's what I got with me today. So let me just shoot. And the first thing I want to talk about is the independent scene here in Southern California, and it's going to be a very small part of the discussion because I only watch one indie show on TV and I only go to one independent company show at least once a month, if not less. And the show I watch on TV is Dave Marquez's Championship Wrestling Hollywood. I make it a point to DVR that show each and every Saturday at 4 o'clock here on KDOC out here on the West Coast in Southern California, because I used to go to those tapings each and every month out in Hollywood and then in Glendale when they were there. I have not been since they moved to Port Hueneme. I regret that, but Port Hueneme is so goddamn far from here with no car and no willingness from anybody that has a car that knows me to drive way out to Timbuktu. I love you, Marquez, but that's way the fuck out there. It's way out there. But the show on TV is so good, and there's so much quality talent that, you don't get to see in TNA or Ring of Honor or, even WWE and NXT. Scorpio Sky is there, and he's been on TNA and WWE before. Eli Drake is back with Championship Hollywood after, he's still with TNA also. He's doing both. But other than that, you get a lot of quality talent that came up through the various, really localized federations out here that, and are really being showcased now on a national stage because they're on KDOC out here, they're on MAV TV across the country, and I highly recommend everybody going to HollywoodWrestling.com and checking out who they have, who their champions are, and watch that shit because it's fantastic. Attending shows out here is very hard for me. I'm way out here in Santa Clarita. For those of you who don't know where Santa Clarita is, for those of you who have been wondering for the last 10 years, no. Are we on year 14, Rift? Something like that, 14 years. Basically, if you're in Southern California and you're going up the 5 North, where the 5 North and the 14 North split off, that valley that the freeways go around, that's where I am. And I have no car. So going anywhere is a pain in my ass. I take transit everywhere. That's just the way it is. And one show that I try to make it a point to convince the boss man to go to on a semi-regular basis is the Empire Wrestling Federation. They've been going for 20 years. We only recently started going religiously in the last year or so because my friend Gary Yap, who used to run Epic War and gave me my first real break outside of this show and outside of NoDQ.com in general in the wrestling business, he is now a top talent manager for him, the Empire Wrestling Federation champion, and they run out of West Covina, excuse me, not West Covina. West Covina is a different part of town, and they run monthly shows in Covina. And if there's a big fight atmosphere, then Aaron and I and probably Dylan usually make it a point to go down there because they are awesome. I highly recommend if you're in Southern California to check out EWF, and they are at EmpireWrestlingFederation.com, on Twitter at EWF Empire, on Instagram the same thing, Facebook, Empire Wrestling Federation. Okay. Now I'm going to get to the stuff I don't like, because there's a lot. Lucha Underground. I tried so hard last season to give that show, to give that company a break, and give them the benefit of the doubt that maybe I could get past the telenovela quality of the show and just see it for the in-ring action. And unfortunately, I couldn't do that. So I figured, okay, last season was a wash. They're starting a new season. They have a brand new season up. Joey Ryan is on that show now, and I understand he's on this week. But I watched the last few shows, and it's more of the same. There's so much Mexican soap opera style crap that I just can't allow myself to get past it. And it's just so obnoxious that as bad as the WWE storylines are, and don't worry WWE, I'm coming to you. I don't want to watch a show that's primarily a drama show. I want to watch a wrestling show that has more wrestling action than it does dramatics. And Lucha Underground is not that show. Sorry. I have no beef with Ring of Honor except the channel they're on. Because when they left Dish in America last year and moved to Comet this year, I lost the ability to watch them. Time Warner Cable out here does not carry Comet. It says on the Comet website that it's on KDOC channel 56.4 or some shit, one of those weird channels that I don't even know how to access. But I can't find it. I can't find it on the TV behind me. I can't find it on, I can't find it on the big screen TV with the digital cable box. I can't find it, so I can't watch Ring of Honor. If somebody out there knows how to access Ring of Honor television in Southern California without me having to pay through the ass, let me know. Impact. TNA. How many times are we as wrestling fans supposed to reignite our passion for TNA and for Impact Wrestling when the overall booking of primarily the World Championship is ludicrous? Does anybody really believe that Matt Hardy is this truly bad person with this truly equally horrible bad wife when they just had a little boy? No. Nobody believes that. And I know we're supposed to suspend disbelief. I know we're supposed to look the other way and pretend that, Matt's this bad guy and he's got big bad tires with him now and he turned on his brother and he turned EC3 into a good guy somehow. But it's just so bogus. We've seen Ethan Carter III, who is WWE cast-off, by the way, who couldn't cut it in WWE, by the way, become this evil, pampered, snot-nosed, world title handed to me little shit. And all of a sudden we're supposed to believe that he's the savior of the company because he's going against Matt Hardy? What in the hell is going on? And, I got a question last night in my Twitter Q&A from Gil about Bram's future, and I said, point out, Bram is one of those guys where he's got a bad rep right now because of what down with his ex-wife, but if he can get a solid tag team title run with EY, or if he can get a solid run, turn on EY and get the King of the Mountain Championship from him, then he has a future. If not, he's gone by Bound for Glory. But there are a tremendous amount of talent in TNA. Is a tremendous amount, not are in TNA, but the booking of the shows is just so haphazard. It's difficult to watch on a weekly basis. I do DVR it every single week, and I watch. And I watch as the first hour just collapses in front of me, to the point where I was watching the other day and I told my dad, just turn it off. Just don't even bother. Just delete off the DVR. I couldn't stand it. NXT. No gripe there. Love NXT to pieces. I love it it's only an hour, because we get different people every week. We don't get the same 2 or 3 Raw hours of the same people every single week for months and years on end. We get a good influx of new talent being brought up from developmental. We get an influx of talent that we don't see each and every week. And yet we still get Sami Zayn and Samoa Joe and Finn Balor and Enzo and Cass and all the guys that we like. NXT is my favorite wrestling show being broadcast right now, and it's a damn shame that it's only on the WWE Network for just $9.99, because if it was on broadcast TV, it would blow ratings out the ass for WWE. It really would. Speaking of the parent company, why, in an era where, granted, they've made the most money they've ever made last year, apparently. Their last quarter was their highest grossing quarter in the history of the company. And that goes back, let's see here, 53 years. It was the highest grossing quarter in the history of the company. But is anybody seriously counting the minutes each week until they get to sit through 3 hours, not counting commercials, of Raw, and 2 hours, not counting commercials, of SmackDown? I'm not. I've told everybody this, and I got into a huge fight on Twitter about this last night, about the fact that SmackDown is completely useless. SmackDown does not advance any storyline. You know the main storyline that's advanced recently? One. The Jericho and AJ Styles storyline. Because Jericho picked up the bounce off win after AJ beat him on Raw a couple weeks prior. And now we might get a match at Fastlane. Don't know yet. What in the hell is SmackDown even good for if they're not going to advance all the storylines? It's just a rehash of Raw with some new little snippets thrown in. It's not needed. If they're going to have Raw be 3 hours, then SmackDown shouldn't exist. If they're going to reduce Raw to 2 hours like everybody is begging them to do, then SmackDown can exist if they advance storylines, or if they develop new storylines in conjunction with Raw, not just rehash what we saw. And literally, Aaron quoted it best on Twitter last night. I'm going to give you mad props for this, boss. Aaron said on Twitter during Monday Night Raw, I guess nobody watches SmackDown because those did the same promo they did on SmackDown on Raw. And they did. They said the exact same damn thing. Because nobody watched them do it Thursday night. So they had to make sure everybody knew, oh, we're bad guys now. And then they attacked Roman later to solidify the issue. Bottom line. WWE is a victim. I talked about this with, I forget who it was, I apologize, on Twitter. That WWE is a victim of their own success. Without WCW nipping at their heels, without ECW to feed not necessarily homegrown talent into WWE, they've grown complacent. TNA will never, and was never, serious competition for them. Ring of Honor is the biggest indie fed in the world, but they're still an indie fed who happens to have a national TV deal. Not everybody gets the New Japan channel, Access TV. I don't. Aaron does, right? Aaron gets New Japan, so good for him. You know, not everybody can stand Lucha Underground. I can't. So for the general, for the common man, if you will, WWE is what we got. TNA is there if you can stomach it. Lucha Underground's there if you can stomach it. But I have NXT, and I'm happy with it. This is a reminder, the views of Jeff Meacham not necessarily reflect the views of NoDQ.com, but they should. We'll see you next time.